Let's get creative! Today we're going to get creative with macrame. I'm going to create my plant hanger on a clothes rack. My example has a little metal hook, but we're going to use a wood ring today and attach that with a little piece of cord on the top. If you don't have a clothes rack, you can easily flip a chair over and use the chair legs on top of a table and attach your little ring on a chair leg, or use a little cord the way I did and attach it to maybe a door handle. That works really well too. So take your 14 meters and I want you to cut 6 strings, 230 centimeters each. Then you're going to place your ring in the middle of the 6 cords and fold. So the ring is in the middle and the cords now create 12 strands hanging evenly. Now we're ready for our first knot. We're going to use a gathering knot with our colored rope. So I want you to cut 80 centimeters from your colored rope. And we're going to make this gathering knot at the very top, closest to the ring. So the first step is to loop the end over. So fold that little tip of the cord, putting that loop on the bottom. So you want a little teeny tail sticking up. There's that little tail. Now take the thin cord and holding the rest of the cord, the group of cords, in your hand nice and tightly, and using your thumb to wrap that thin cord around the group. Keep your thumb there and make sure it's nice and tight, and keep wrapping until you have about a centimeter wide of wrapped cord. Make sure you don't hide that tail in the wrapping, otherwise you won't be able to pull it up. So make sure the tail sticks out the whole time as you're wrapping that cord nice and tight around the group. Occasionally use your thumb and push up those cords so it's a nice, tight, controlled wrap around that group. Now at the very bottom, you have your little loop. Stick the end of your cord into that little loop, and now come back to the tail on the top. And now you're going to pull it through. And this is how the gathering knot creates that nice tight wrap, and you're hiding the little ends. So see how I push it up? Now you're going to take your scissors and just snip off the little ends, making that nice clean wrap. How'd you go? If your knot is too loose, it's not going to pull nice and tight and have that little tail hiding in the middle. It'll just unravel. So if you need to redo that wrapping, go ahead and redo it, making sure it's nice and tight. Now you're going to tie your first square knot. Square knots require 4 cords, so separate 4 cords from the group. Now I want you to separate those 4 cords into 2 cords in the middle, 1 cord on the left and 1 on the right. The square knot requires the left cord to make a figure 4 and go over the 2 middle ones. Now the right cord is going to go over the left, behind the 2 middle ones, and through the loop and pull it. Whoops, don't go too tight. You want to leave about 10 centimeters from that top gathering knot. So move your cord down. Now we'll do it in the reverse. The right cord's going to go over the 2 middle ones, making a backwards figure 4. Now the left cord's going to sneak on top of the left, go behind the middle 2, and pull it through that hole. And now make it tight. Keep the 2 middle cords pulled down and tighten the 2 end ones, straightening them out. You've just completed your first square knot. Now we're going to repeat that for the other 2 groups. Find 4 other cords. Make sure they're nice and even, and start with that left side, making a figure 4. The right cord goes over, behind the 2, and then through the hole on the left. Tighten the sides up. Make a backwards 4 with the right. The left cord goes over, behind the middle 2, and through the loop, and pull. Make that square knot nice and tight, pulling the end cords and the 2 middle ones pull down. Repeat that with the other group, and now you should have 3 square knots for your first section of plant hanger done. If you need to adjust any of those square knots, pulling the cords down to make them nice and even. Now you're ready for the next section. Let's move on to the gathering knot. For the next 15 centimeters, let the cord hang. Now we're going to be grouping up those same 3 groups and wrapping them with a gathering knot. So just like that first knot that we made at the top, we're going to take your colored cord with 4 of the natural cords, loop over the colored cord, and put the loop at the bottom with the little tail sticking up at the top. So holding that group of cords in your left hand, keep your left thumb nice and tight, holding that tail sticking up. And now you can wrap the colored cord around the group, trying not to make a mess and knock everything down. Go ahead and start wrapping. You get to practice making these gathering knots a few more times, so don't worry if you don't get it. It took me a while to learn how to wrap nice and tightly and hide those cords underneath. So continue to wrap until you have a nice tight, about 1.5 centimeters wide. And then once you like that pop of color, that length, then you can take the little tail, stick it in the hole, and then pull the tail on the top, hiding the ends. Make sure it's nice and tight with your thumb and adjust it and push the cords down if you need to. We're going to repeat this process 2 more times with the same group of cords. So take the other group, take your little colored cord, make that loop and put it next to the natural cord. Holding your thumb nice and tightly with that little tail sticking up, go ahead and start wrapping. Repeat that process for the other 2, and you're done with the gathering knots for this section. Make sure that your gathering knots are even by occasionally bringing down the other 2 wrappings and making sure that they level up or they're nice and even together. Now we're moving on to our square knots, but we're going to be changing up the cords. So we're going to take 2 cords from one section and join it up with 2 cords of the adjacent section. So I'm just going to put 2 of the long cords on my shoulder so it's easier for me to show you how these are going to be combined. We're going to leave 15 centimeters hang, and with the 2 strings from one group and 2 strings from the next, we're going to tie a square knot using the 4 new cords. Doing that square knot, you're going to have the left cord making a figure 4, crossing over the 2 middle ones. The right cord's going to go over the left, under the 2, and through the loop, and pull the 2 ends. Repeat that process from the right side. Make a backwards 4. The right cord's going to go over the middle 2. The left cord's going to go over the right, behind the 2, and through the loop. Take your time doing this. I know it's a little bit tricky, but if you do it from the same side, it's going to start spinning. That's called a half square knot, and that's cool too. You can do that if you'd like, and you can repeat this process a few times to get a new pattern. repeat that square knot using 2 cords from one group and 2 cords from the next group, and do your square knot. Make sure your cords don't twist up as well. If you need to adjust the length of each square knot, you can hold the 2 cords in the middle and kind of shimmy up that square knot. Now you have 3 square knots that are combining the other cords, and you're starting to make your basket. The next section we're going to focus on is another gathering knot. We're going to split the current groups again into 2 separate groups. So we'll keep the middle cord in the middle, taking the left cord and joining it with another group. For this lot of gathering knots, you're only going to need 40 centimeters for each of your groups. So go ahead and cut 3 lengths, 40 centimeters long each. Now, using one of the cords, I want you to take 1 cord from one of the groups. Notice how I just used the 1 cord from 1 square knot and combine it with 1 cord from the other square knot. Make sure your cord isn't twisted, nice and straight. We're going to leave about 10 centimeters for this gathering knot. So folding the end, making the tail stick up the top, looping on the bottom, go ahead and wrap just 2 cords. Now for this section, I'm only going to wrap maybe about a 1/2 centimeter. Because we have less cord, we don't need that much color. Wrapping it really tightly, holding that cord with your thumb. Wrap it until you have a nice length of color. When you're done, put the end, the little tail, through the loop and pull it through. Make sure you hold that cord with your other hand nice and tightly so it doesn't unravel. And once you got the end through the loop, go ahead and push it up with one thumb and pull that top tail. Pull it nice and tight. It's going to hide that end cord in the middle, and then you're just going to snip off the end. If you see a little bit of excess of the end sticking out, we're actually going to take our scissors later and tuck those ends into the wrapping. But don't worry about that. We'll do that at the end. Adjust it with your thumb, making it nice and tight. And then separate the cords, taking the cord from the right group. Find a new group, make sure the cord's nice and straight, and find the left side. So combine those 2 cords, and this is going to be your next gathering knot. Folding the cord, have a little tail sticking up, and go ahead and wrap it around. Hold it nice and tight all the way down, and then stick the end of the cord into the loop and pull it up on the top tail. Repeat this process one more time for the other section using the right cord and the 1 left cord from the last section, and tie your gathering knot. Now we're ready to finish our plant hanger. We're actually going to gather all of the cords together and tie that last gathering knot. So using about 80 centimeters or the leftover of your colored cord, make that loop, have it on the bottom, and have the tiny tail sticking up. Holding the group of cords nice and tight, wrap that colored cord around the entire group as long as you can, making it a nice pop of color to finish off your plant hanger. When you're finished wrapping, stick the end through the loop, pull that top tail up, hiding the cord in the middle of the gathering knot. Taking your scissors, snip off the extra colored cord. And now we're actually going to take the tip of the scissors. Please be careful with this step. I'm going to take the ends of my scissors and I'm going to use that tip to tuck the extra little end bits into that gathering section. You may need an adult to supervise using this step, or if your scissors are too blunt and don't have a nice point, you might want to just use a pen or something that has a tip that'll help stick in those end cords. Continue to do this process, tucking in all the little end bits into the gathering knots, making sure you have a nice clean gathering wrap throughout your entire plant hanger. Your very own plant hanger. Well done. Now your next choice is to cut off the bottom of the cords. You can leave as much dangling macrame as you want, or you can turn the ends into a little tassel by unraveling the cords. You can untwist the main cord into the 3 smaller cords, and then you can even use a big brush and brush them out. Now it's time to put a plant in. You can take any plant that has a diameter of 15 centimeters up to 25 and tuck it in between the square knot and those smaller gathering knots, and adjust your cords so they fit evenly, and voila, you have your very cute plant hanger ready to hang. Well done, everyone. We'd love to see your creations. Feel free to tag us at TheSeedCW or hashtag TheSeedCW, or you can find us on Facebook and leave a little message. See you next time.